Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to the sound test room. Today we are taking a look at the Riffer. There's a tutorial for the whole thing. Okay, so Riffer will generate riffs for you. It'll generate MIDI sequences that you have loads and loads of control over. Okay, absolutely tons. To make life easier for us all, we shall open a session in AUM and start from scratch. Okay, so you know exactly where you're going, and then you'll understand this completely. It does work in Cubasis, etc., etc. It also works as standalone as well, but so we can actually see what the routing is and stuff. It's really easy to do this in AUM. So I'm going to open one thing here. It is Inter-App Audio. So we need to go down and find it. I know it's down here. It has its own little section. Here we go, Audiomodern Riffer. And we shall open it up there like that. Okay. And now we want Riffer to play something. Okay, so for absolute ease and speed, we shall open up an audio unit extension and we shall choose a phosphor to start with. Okay. All good so far. Right, so Riffer is Inter-App Audio. So what we want to do is set this to AUM destination to start with. Okay, and also I'm going to set this to AUM destination as well. I'm going to set phosphor to AUM destination. It's a MIDI source. Okay, so we'll open up Riffer and go to the little gear icon at the top here. And where it says MIDI output, you need to choose AUM. If you're using it in AUM, if you're not, you can choose whatever you like. Okay, so that is that there. And then what we need to do is press this little dice so it generates some notes. Now you see every time you press this dice, it will generate notes for you, okay? And they'll be in the key of C here. And this is your scaling. We'll get to that in a sec. So all we need to do there is press play on a Riffer. And that's playing phosphor. Now let's choose a better sound. Okay, living in the 80s will do. And now what we can do also is do another one and another audio unit extension. And this time we'll choose BS16. Okay, because it'll give us a nice percussive piano sound, because the first sound that will be there will be stereo grand. We can make it the bell piano. It'll go along nicely with that anyway. And again, as soon as I route this to AUM, so now I have control over both, and Riffer is playing phosphor and BS16. So we'll turn them down a little bit while I explain what's going on here. So this is your quantization. This will be, we'll just work through the whole thing so you'll see. If I play this and adjust the quantization, you'll know what I mean straight away. So we have all these. So if we go to 8s, half speed basically, and then you can go down to say quarters, and it does the triplets as well. We can go all the way up to 64th. Right, okay. So moving down, you have shuffle and shift. Shuffle and shift are what you would expect them to be. They apply like a shuffling effect. Here we have motion. So you can see at the moment it's tracking forwards, but we can have it go backwards. or we can have it ping pong. Goes backwards and forwards. Here is our step length. We can go all the way up to 64 steps here. Okay, but we'll leave it on 16. And you can go all the way down to 1 step if you wanted to. So we're going to take that back to 16. And the loop is the same. You can adjust the loop with this section here, or you can do it with that. Okay. Moving down to the bottom now, this little left and right will shift these notes either left or right. Like that, doesn't really matter. Always remaining in the key that you've chosen, which is C major at the moment. Next section here is octave. Next two buttons up and down, they shift the notes up or down. Okay. Now, what to remember is, before we move on to the other bits and pieces, is what you see in the grid. If I hit the dice here, their notes will be generated within that range. So the range will be from C3 to B3. It won't generate outside that range. The cool thing is you can set the range however you wish. Okay. With this little slider here, let's play and I'll show you. Let's set this higher. Sorry. Like this. Now you see the range is C3 to C5. If I generate now, it's going to fill up the whole of that range. And you can so you have control over the range as well. This again is being able to set the range down as well. So where you want to start the sequence. Okay, so moving around now. Sustain, paused, it's kind of like what it is. Then the next one up, time notes. This is interesting. Oh, you can also draw sequences in as well. Okay, so if I do this, like this, and draw all these notes in, and then play it. If time notes is on, like this, it will tie those notes together. And it's the same when you auto generate. If it generates two notes together, it will tie them together if time note is on. Now, moving on, volume. Okay, so this is very cool. You see it's set on 80. Well, obviously, let me turn it up a little bit. Obviously, that's lowering the volume. But if we touch volume, let me turn that down a little bit. If we touch where it says volume, there like that, you get the volume faders. Now we can randomize those as well. Or we can draw in different volume curves. And if we didn't want to randomize those in the future, if we hit this little lock button with the side of the dice, that will lock that parameter, but only that parameter. It won't lock anything else. So if I go back to pitch now and randomize, and then go back to volume, it will have kept our volume curve because that parameter is locked. And it will be the same for the actual duration. So if we have, and we can draw in like, so this is like gating. We could lock that as well. And if you watch the background now where you can see sort of the notes in a lesser thing, if I randomize them, it's not going to randomize my duration or my volume because I have both those parameters locked. And then if I unlock both of them, everything will randomize. Okay, so now moving up. The next one you'll see is this infinity thing. This is one of the very cool things about Riffer. What will happen is if I hit infinities, every time it loops around, the sequence will change. It'll change on its own. So it will just change the whole thing every time it loops. So let's have a look at that in action, eh? It randomizes everything. Unless you lock it, of course. Whereas everything else will randomize, but that won't. Okay, so this next one here, where it says 16, this is how many of those notes are actually going to play. So at the moment, they're all going to trigger. But if I say drop this down to, let's see, 9 or 8, for instance, when it plays again, only 8 of these will trigger. So let's just play. See, they're slightly grayed out. So you can set the amount of notes that actually trigger in the grid that way. So we'll put back to 16. But you can go further and further. You can have it right all the way up to 64 if you want to. But we shall stick it 16. 15, 16. There you go. And that's that. Okay, moving around, the big dice is self-explanatory. You hit the big dice to randomize. If you're like, say, you're on infinite, like you're not on infinite, and obviously below there is your key, not your scale, your key. And there's your scales. Now you have an absolutely huge amount of scales to choose from. Okay, so you have all of them, all of these scales here. And we can go down as well. So you have an incredible amount of scales to play with here. You could try this one. You can play them on the fly. So you can see that you can do an awful lot with Riffer. Now, of course, you can set it to play anything that you want it to. You know, you don't. The cool thing is, sorry, start that off. You can start to get even more creative. You could say, like, let's find do a phase maker. Let's do. And so on and so forth, and into infinity. Look, and you can do this in the good thing about doing this in. I wanted to show you how to set it up easily in AUM. Main thing to remember is AUM destination, because AUM is controlling everything, and that's how you want it to read. And inside a Riffer itself, in the settings, make sure that your MIDI output, if you're using AUM, of course, if you're using Cubasis, use Cubasis into app audio section, and and then you can just go, you can go mad, completely mad. In standalone, it has the your tempo as well. So it's very, very, very cool beans. You can, like I said, you can infinitely variable. If you set this to recording Cubasis, as it's recording the MIDI from other instruments, then of course, if you've got infinite switched on, it'll just record all these different MIDI notes, obviously, and then you can edit them, etc., however you like. There you go, guys. Riffer by Audiomodern. Very, very, very cool. And I'm very impressed. I think it's really good. And it was easy for me to get my head around as well, because it's all very simple. It's all done from this one page. So there's no sort of diving here and diving there, etc. You can just do it all from inside this one section here. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Of course, you may want to be more careful with the sounds you pick and stuff, but that's, again, personal preference. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Please consider becoming a Patreon for $1 a month. Please do. Okay, thank you very much, and I will put a link for Riffer in the description, and I will see you later. Ta-ta.